Okay, I've got a video here which was taken on a squash camp that we did. And this video was all about how to take power away. It's how to make it difficult for other people to actually gain power and gain control. So what I'll do is, the audio wasn't awesome. I'll put the full video with the audio and subtitles on after this so you can actually watch the whole thing. But I just want to talk through the action and what happened, and so you can understand the benefits of this, because it's pretty cool. So we put Terry in the middle. Terry's a coach, and I will throw the ball, and I'll show that if it's easy, it's really simple. Okay, so when it's within his range, and we talk about range, and once again, it's really simple. So if I put a couple of little lines on the screen, actually I'll just move forward so we can see Terry in the middle of the court facing the right way. Right, and so if I put a line on the screen, or a circle, somewhere around about there is a highly, highly, highly capable range of Terry at a reasonable level squash player. If we go out ever so slightly, it starts to get more difficult. And if we go out further again, it starts to get very difficult. And that also happens further forward and so on as well. Okay, so it really makes a difference as to where the ball is in relation to his body, as to how difficult it is. And there's other components to it as well, but we'll go through those and we'll explain a little bit more about those. So the first two shots were only about putting the ball in a capable zone. And because I'm throwing it from the front, I've asked him to drive straight and so on, just to make sure that we don't have any trouble and I don't get hit. So it's a good thing. All right, so then we moved on to, we explained a few different things to the kids and so on about capability and different people's reach and stuff like that. Then we go on to something which is slightly more difficult. And we have a look at tough shots to return. So the first one was behind. And so if we have a look at that, we'll do it in slow motion. Now Terry's possibly staging a little bit, but it's all relative to understand. And I've got to make sure, he's got to make sure he doesn't hit anybody, which is always a good thing when we've got like 16 kids on the court or something. And I'll go slow motion. I've thrown the ball, so it's a little bit awkward. And you see the movement and so on. But what we're after is the fact that the point of contact, his body's not stable, it's not strong, he hasn't got a really strong position on the court, and it's really, really difficult. So that's something where we talk about placing the ball behind the line of your opponent. So when we talk about this, it's more about placing the ball behind their feet line. So if I can find Terry, I'll find Terry here. Okay. So if I draw a line, Terry's gone back. He's gone back to about there. So the line on the court about depth is where he's at, which is there. So therefore, if you can land the ball anywhere around about over near the side wall, of course, so he has to reach and stretch a little bit, somewhere around about there, which is back of service box, then you've got the right sort of depth that makes it difficult, and it will take some power away. It won't take all power away, it will take some power away. And so what we've basically done is put it in an awkward spot, which actually reduces options and it reduces power. So that works really, really well. And so that's to do with a little bit of reach, but mostly depth. So we showed them about the depth and what it takes to actually knock somebody around at the back of the court. Okay, then we went and showed the backhand side. And so you'll see that there are differences to the backhand and forehand. And there it goes there. All right, so we'll just have a look at that in slow motion. So there's major differences between forehand and backhand. And we'll just click it through nice and slow so you can see it all happen. Here he goes. And the differences are because he's right-handed, his racket is on his right-hand side, so therefore he's got to run back and get his shoulder around behind the ball, and it's really quite difficult. And that ball was virtually in service box that it became slightly difficult. Now, it depends which foot he goes on and how much he takes off and all the rest of it. But for the purpose of the demonstration, it shows that the backhand is a little bit easier to hurt people or to knock people around or to take people's power away, simply because you have less capability on the backhand side. Okay, so that was pretty interesting. Then we go through the areas of reach. And so we start to talk about the reaching out forward. Okay, so once again, you can reach it, he can hit it, but he's still on stretch and reach, and he hasn't got full capability. And so what happens is when people start to get into areas of stress, that they're under stress and trouble, they start cross-courting. And they'll cross-court because it's the easiest thing they can possibly do, and the ball doesn't come back and hit them and so on. So we explained all this to the kids and about shot and the potential and so on, and just how it all works. That also works the same on the backhand side. And so the backhand side, when the ball is obviously out towards the front of the court, way over there, and Terry couldn't be bothered even going for it. But he just wasn't interested, really. I think that's more the case. He didn't want to do any work himself. But once again, if you put it well away from him, there's no way known he's going to get it. And so he explained that it's just, there's areas obviously that are really quite difficult, and it's not that simple to hit from. After that, we explain about the next dimension, which is height. And the height dimension becomes a really tough one to handle. So the tough one is, we're just about to show now. Okay, so the tough one becomes this one up here. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that in slow motion. Okay, so from here, if you watch what happens here, all of a sudden the ball's up there. Terry moves, he sees it, he gets his preparation in, he's got to get his shoulder back, he's got to get behind the ball, and he's got to do his best to try and hit that. Okay, so what you see, he's done really well to get to it, but he hasn't got any options, he hasn't got any power. And so he's going to get it back, but once again, it may or may not be good depending on how well he gets onto that shot and what he chooses to play. So it makes it really, really quite difficult for him if you choose to put the ball in awkward positions, which is what we're talking about. The last one we did, which was the high forehand, I'll show you this in slow motion, so we'll go through this. It comes up here. Here's the high forehand. Once again, if you can get them to leave the ground, and we spoke about that, if you can get people to leave the ground when they're striking, once again, it takes out options. But that's also required on the forehand because people have greater capability on the forehand. We've had to go and put it back behind him and high, and so it's made it more difficult for him. And he's got to dodge the kids with his racket and everything, so he's done pretty well. So, yeah, so it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting concept, and it's about learning about what you're capable of and how difficult things are. The last thing we spoke about with this was the difficulty in returning to back to where you came from. So if you go this way and then you've got to cut back and turn, that also takes energy, effort, and some people are not as agile as others. So we spoke about crafting a game where you can actually play back to an area where somebody has been versus just playing corner to corner and making people run straight lines. So it's a quite a good thing to go through. So if you can read the subtitles and even hear the audio. The audio is, you can hear it and understand it, and I'll put it on straight after this video. That's why the video is so long, because it's the same full camp, but it's now with the actual audio from the camp, and it's pretty good. And so it's a wonderful thing for the kids to learn and to understand that this is how it works. And the final bit we've got for you is what happens when you get a child in there. So this is little Toby. Toby was, I can't remember how old he was. He might be 13, something like that, maybe 12. But Toby's very good, by the way. He's in the state team and everything like that. So we watched Toby, and we watched what he's capable of. I was a bit concerned he was going to hit me, so it's only straight drives. I've got glasses on, and best of luck, pretty much. I'll see how we go. So here it is. I throw the ball, and it hits his backhand drive because it's in his capable area. So the first one was capable area, and that's capable area. Once again, he's pretty capable. Off he goes. He's a good little kid. And then we put it just outside his range, and he did reasonable, but it was diminished, and we spoke about that. So we spoke about how he lost power a little bit, and he didn't quite have the options to actually play everything he wanted to play. And then we showed him the toughest one, and the toughest one is pretty cool because that he's got nothing. Comes out in the middle of the court. It's really difficult, and it really makes a difference to just putting the ball slightly behind somebody. Okay, so it's a pretty good exercise. If we go, I'll find this one here. Just what happened with the motion. And you see, as soon as you get anywhere remotely, and it's not even as wide, so the ball's not quite at the side wall, and even remotely behind him, and this is where it comes out into the middle of the court. So we spoke about like younger kids and smaller kids and everything like that as well. So just how much difference it is and how big an area you do have to aim for to actually knock kids around and knock people around, knock players around. So there you go. It's a wonderful little exercise that we do at squash camps, and I just thought you'd enjoy this. It's about body capability and how to take someone's power away, and I hope you got something out of this. We're going to teach you about body capability. In other words, what a human body is capable of. Or not. Or not. And Terry's our specimen. Right, it's pretty good. What we're going to do, Terry's going to stand in the middle of the court here, as he would as if he was having return shots. Yep. I'm going to throw the ball. He's going to drive it off the front wall to the back. If the ball comes to you, just collect it, please, just nicely, and throw it back to me when I ask. I'm going to throw this ball, and we're going to tell you about body motion, body capability. If I put the ball there, Terry will stand forward and drive it without any trouble at all. So the ball goes there, it's a step forward, and it's a drive, and it's nice and easy. He's got one for the weekend. Two now. Okay. So what you need to do, you need to understand somebody's range, what they're capable of. When I played, I used to put the ball in awkward positions every single shot. That was one of the main goals, every single shot. What we're talking about when we talk about that, we're talking about making them off balance. Now, Terry and most other guys are good enough to get stuff back if it's difficult. So they'll come back here, go there, and even go there and get it back okay. But they can't attack if they're under stress, if they're off balance. So the aim is to put them off balance. You don't have to get winners. You have to take their power away. You get guys that are awesome with power. And if I put Ed in the middle of the court here, I'm not going to get a shot back. No matter how fast I am, no matter how good I am, or no matter how good I think I am.
Because you're hitting for 10.
Because that's right. I never thought of that. Now, what with George there, there's no way I can do it. So, but basically, anybody can hit if the ball is open. So what we do is this. I will drive the ball, and I will drive it, so just be careful there, Ed. Sorry, Harry. I will drive it, so it's behind Terry, and he's got to reach and stretch. Now, he's good enough to come up with all right, but that's not going to hurt me. What I did is I took his power and he came up with an average. I know he staged a little bit, whatever else, which is good. But he came up with an average thing which is not going to be unreal. I'll come back from that, I'll watch his body motion, I'll come in there and I'll work out whether I drive down the wall or I can cross his body like we spoke about. If it's an open drive, you can cross their body really well. If it's on the wall, treat it with respect, put it down the wall. So what we've done is we've just taken away Terry's power to hurt him. And if he comes up with rubbish, I'm in there and I'm just going to attack because I can go bang short, he comes out with a bad shot, I cross him. Here we go. Back inside. Same story. From here, if I put it back there, Terry doesn't go for it, I look silly. Alright? Are you ready? If I go here and I go back, right back there, all we've done is he's taken his power away. So everybody can clearly understand that. So everybody understands where basically Terry's range is. Now, there's another area here. Once again, it's in this area here by making stretch, which is out there. If I put him way over there, that is not controlled. Right? And that is not controlled. But what you need to do is understand what a person's capability is. If I put Ben in there, I can probably throw the ball out there and still make it hard for him because he's got little legs. It's not his fault. He's just had a birthday. He's trying to grow. He's doing all right. Look, his neck there. It's all good. So basically, you can understand body capability. Now, if you really, really want to make it hard for somebody, you ready, Terry? He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that. Right? If you really want to make it hard for somebody, you'll go up and back down. And all I did, this is a Bible shot in a match. Now, I know I threw it, but if I cross-court it and put it back up there, that's Bible to get it. I'm not talking about the highest long, I'm talking about even cross-court. But it's back up there. It's out in his zone. It's above his head, it's behind his back, it's up here. You can hit so somebody can volley there. I often used to do that with guys that got racket ability. You know, guys that think they're awesome, you hit them anywhere. And they basically like go, if I was tired and my then points in now, then I just put it up there in that danger zone where it's hard for them. When they get tired, bang, 10. And I go, how good would that have been if that went in? Pump them up a bit. I'll do it again. I go, I'm getting that back. That wasn't going to happen. No one else going to get that back. I go, oh, to do that next time. So you can understand, it's the same on the forehand, although there's a higher capability on the forehand because they've got natural reach. Backhand, they've got less reach. But up there, you've really got to get it up and back to be able to take it out of their body zone. Now that depends on how much you've knocked them around. So the body zone will change when their capabilities are coming out of the shot. So if Terry's come out here and he's just got back there, that area is weak. Understand that? Because I can go back there because I'm still placing the play really quick. But to go from here, there, and go back there, it's really difficult to get up. So it's just reduced the area that's easy. I met this guy once, and we were talking about game lanes and stuff like that. He goes, oh, I don't know so much. I go, what do you do? How do you play? He goes, I just get back to wherever they came from. That's my game plan. Well, that's pretty brutal at times. You just got to understand. So he's working out the hardest part of the court to go to is where you've just been. No matter what you do, if I go from here and I go bang, cross court, let's say, got to go back hard. But if you train to turn and change like we did, it becomes easy. So when you do that against good guys, that game plan is usually not quite as good. Because of that sharp turn. You know, so it's quick to be able to get your body in hand to be able to turn sharp. And so you can pounce on stuff. So if you can understand, every single time you play, we've been harping on about targets for 2.5 days. Now we're harping on about body motion and understanding how to hurt someone. Now girls and ladies, because they're not as strong as guys, they tend to get clever. They get smart. So you'll play girls and you'll be in trouble. Because as soon as they clue in and understand that they don't need to hit the ball as hard as boys, they're not going to hit the ball as hard as boys, and they're just going to play quality and get smart, they become awfully difficult to beat. Because they use their brain more than guys. Because guys are silly, guys are thick, and guys think they just need to hit the ball hard. So women can do really, really well if they understand this completely. It's just a wonderful thing to learn.
So did you guys get that demonstration about the ball either being easy or difficult for me to hit?
Have you ever been shown you that before? No? That's good, that's all we want. We're teaching you new stuff.
So the physical demonstration was to show you how physically difficult it is to return some shots. If you miss hit the ball, what happens when you do a bad serve? They normally pound it past you or something like that. So you didn't make it physically difficult for them to return. Does that make sense? So that's a good observation that you probably made for yourself lots of times. So for the purpose of this demonstration, we're trying to show you that if you can always try to put the ball just somewhere difficult for them to hit, it's going to be a physical challenge. And it will make their task a lot harder to get a good shot in. And then that makes the next shot of yours a lot easier.
These are
volunteer. You were doing it anyway.
Be careful, because I'm sponsored.
You were doing it anyway.
They don't want you to rig their records.
Now, I've never done this with any student ever in my life. Don't hit me. You got this? Right. Ready? You got to hit that way if I throw it over there? He's looking worried. I'm not looking worried at all, am I? You got to hit that way if I put it over there. You got to hit that way if I put it over there. No cross courts. All right, here we go. Over there. It's pretty easy. We're going to go through the drill really quickly. Pretty easy. Ready? See how the pace went off? See how just an absolute fraction even the pace went off? He just didn't have his body, didn't have control. He can just less. This is you guys at your level currently right now. Ready? See how he really didn't have any power whatsoever? Just no power. Because he thought it was going that way because I was looking that way.